Welcome to our 5 on 5 tonight. We're joined by Senator Ron Wyden. Senator, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. So this weekend you met with the chief of the U.S. Forest Service in Brookings. Do you think the organization handled the Chetco Bar fire correctly?
Well, obviously what I wanted to do was get out and talk to residents, and they're obviously very frustrated and want to know about what's going to happen to their homes, to their lives. I mean, look, these are not your grandfather's fires. They are bigger, they're hotter, they're more powerful, and the reality is there's a lot of fuel load on the forest floor. Now, I've always felt it's not my job to micromanage the professionals who fight fire. What I did last week was help get additional resources for the agency to pay for the helicopters and the bulldozers and the essentials. We're going to probably have to have another disaster package in order to help communities. And this time I also want to end a really insidious practice known as fire borrowing, which consistently ends up shorting prevention, and then you have bigger fires.
Okay. Do you think any changes should be made to the federal government's policy on fighting fires?
My sense, apart from changing this broken system, which shortchanges, prevention, there are a couple of other areas that I'm especially interested in. I think, for example, drones can play a bigger role, and this is an area where Oregon companies are also stepping up. We've got, Oregon companies who are in a position to say with a small drone, they would be able to get real-time information to firefighters on the ground. So ending fire borrowing, looking at drones, and then making sure that the firefighting professionals have the resources. Those probably be my big 3 priorities coming up.
What did you see in Brookings this weekend? What did residents say to you?
They said, why is it that the government can't get there earlier? Well, it's different. I've said, I'm going to champion policies to try to do everything I possibly can to get the federal government there earlier, to put a sharper focus on prevention, to use new tools like drones. I think that's the best way to make the federal government a better partner.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're joined by Senator Ron Wyden. Senator, Democrats are against any changes from the Trump administration to DACA. What do you think will happen in Congress?
Well, what's important is for viewers to know that these dreamers have done absolutely nothing wrong. I really want to emphasize that. They have not done anything wrong. They just want to work hard. They want to play by the rules. I've met a lot of them. They've come to my town hall meetings. They want to work in law enforcement, for example, in health care. Now what I hope will happen is the Congress, on a bipartisan basis, will step up, pass responsible legislation that protects the dreamers.
Did President Trump's deal with Democrats on the debt ceiling surprise you?
Yes, and our sense was that he wasn't going to be open to a short-term package. I personally thought that would make sense for both Oregon and our country. First, it ensures that the government stays open. Second, it doubles down on the effort to deal with disasters, and then it gives us a chance to work out more of the long-term fiscal situation. I'm the ranking Democrat on the Finance Committee, so I'm dealing with the debt ceiling issue. It's particularly important that you deal with that responsibly because that reflects on the overall financial credibility of the federal government.
So you've been in Congress for 36 years now. You've worked with 6 different presidents. What has the Trump era been like for you?
It's been completely different. And, I've seen stories saying that this president, for example, is trying to carve out an independent path. I just wish that it would be more like the Oregon way. In Oregon, what we've always said is we're compassionate, we're practical, we're fair. I thought it was just horrible what the administration's response was to Charlottesville. My parents fled the Nazis. We fought the Nazis, and I can tell you, in the Wyden family, when you saw a swastika, it wasn't as if there were 2 sides to the story.
Okay, real quick, Special Investigator Robert Mueller wants to interview some White House aides. What do you think is going to happen after that?
Well, there are 2 parts to the inquiry. First is Bob Mueller deals with criminal justice matters. I'm on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. We're looking at how to tell the American people what happened and do it in a way that protects classified information. Now, there are areas that we share. For example, I've really focused on what I call follow the money issues, because I think they are central to this inquiry, and there's some questions that have got to be answered in public. Jared Kushner, for example, testified privately. He said, for example, our family, we don't rely on the Russians for financing. That's a subjective word. He didn't say we don't have any business deal with the Russians. He didn't say we never had business deals with the Russians. So we've got to get to the bottom of this. And what I have really focused on the Intelligence Committee, are the follow the money issues.
Okay, Senator Wyden, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.